Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for purchasing this or any watch you see on our platforms. Reach out to us at tmosso@the1916company.com for pricing. Today, you are looking at the star attraction from Breitling's 2021 novelties. This is the Premier B09 Chronograph 40. 40 millimeters, stainless steel, manual wind, no date, with one of the best green dials of the green dial era that we are living in. This is a watch for everyone. Nicely sized at 40 millimeters in diameter. It's 13.7 millimeters thick, and from lug to lug, a tidy 47.3 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it fits beautifully. The lugs are far inboard of the edge of my wrist, and I believe this watch can easily be worn on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. From over the top, you can see the lugs are still not over the edge of my wrist. The down the barrel shot is the definitive one, and then the cuff shot, though this is not a super thin watch, you can see at least a third of the thickness of the case is ramped and sloped, so it should slide underneath most dress cuffs. The strap is a lovely one, high gloss, light brown, almost a honey brown, with medium rectangular scale alligator leather transitioning to small rectangular scale, a cut of the gator we rarely see. We have a full folding clasp, satinated and polished with twin trigger release so it cannot open inadvertently. We have the underside of the strap, which you can see has neither been crimped nor gouged. This is calfskin on the bottom, and it is a brand new Breitling factory strap. The watch features curved spring bars, so there's no impediment to the motion of the strap against the case flank. The case, beautifully evocative of late Art Deco, of the premier watches of the mid-20th century. And this watch is designed to be a little bit of an homage to the classical premier models of the 40s and 50s. And you can see it really is a throwback to the machine age. You can see everything from streamliner trains to modern aircraft to cars like the Chrysler Airflow in the design of this case band. We have a combination of a little bit of a soft bevel that wraps around the edge of the lugs, polished on the tops, polished on the bevel, satination of the mid case. There is a double-stepped conical bezel. You can see one step, then a smaller one, and then a dramatically domed and cambered sapphire that is designed to evoke a vintage plexiglass, and it does give you some of that bubble-like distortion. We have a crown with a rather sharp knurling that makes it easy to grip and manipulate, and then vintage-inspired rectangular pushers with polished flanks and satin outer faces. The watch features a dial that is described as pistachio green, but what you might not gather if you've only seen photos of it online is that it's more metallic than you would expect in person. It does have a glossy quality to it, but it's almost as though it's a gloss lacquer over a metal base. It is distinctly more metallic, almost like a matte metallic. We have these lovely vintage upright Arabic numerals, including the open 6, no date, syringe-style hands for the hours and minutes with a counterweighted loop or lollipop against a lancet-style seconds hand. You can see outboard there is an upwardly stepped tachymeter scale. A tachymeter on the dial is a very pre-1960 way of constituting a sports watch dial. In general, after 1960, the tack would be on the bezel. Here it's on the dial. Other vintage elements, a twin counter chrono. Not only is this a no date, but it's the twin counter version of the Breitling B01 family, this being the manual wind twin counter no date B09 caliber. We'll do a quick loom shot right here so you can see that the watch does feature loomed hour and minute hands, but that's it. The rest of the dial goes dark. And then we have the little long distance markers on the minute register. So you can see that we have a little hash at 3, 6, and 9 minutes, because in the middle of the 20th century, that's how long-distance phone calls, which were very expensive, would have been billed. They would have been billed in 3-minute increments. Now, with the tachymeter scale, you can gauge the speed of an object, such as a race car over a kilometer. So you start up the chronograph when the race car passes the start mark of the kilometer, and then you stop it when the race car passes the finishing mark. If you watch right here, You can see we have instantaneous jumping minutes. So if my race car just passed the starting mark of the kilometer and then it passes the ending mark here, I stop the chronograph and I can see the car is going 400 kilometers per hour. That's a very fast race car. Now we do have a column wheel for cycling the function. You can see it on the reverse side. The B01 family has one of the best column wheel feels in the business. It's snappy, both to the touch and to the ear. And the watch includes a vertical clutch, so when I start the chronograph, there's no jump or stagger. The seconds hand begins without any additional play. That's the advantage of a vertical clutch, no extraneous movement. Another advantage of the vertical clutch is that you can leave the chrono running full time with no additional wear and tear to the movement. Now we also have a hacking or stop seconds function, so you can synchronize the watch to a reference time. You can see both the sub-registers are countersunk into the dial with a concentric pattern to add some texture. And on the back we have the B09, which is a 28 joule manual wind version of the B01 in-house Breitling chronograph caliber. So manual wind, 70 hours of power reserve, 4 Hz beat rate, 5 position adjusted, COSC Swiss chronometer. You can see the 4 Hz balance oscillating with a special Breitling-specific regulator system that's sort of a hybrid of eccentric screw micrometric adjustment system and Edicron, which allows for very fine adjustment. And intriguingly, this uses KIF shock protection, generally seen as a more upscale alternative to Inca block. We have the column wheel. We have the vertical clutch. We have a fairly large movement that fits the case back nicely, and again, it is a certified chronometer. Perhaps most unexpected is that this watch, which is rather dressy, is 100 meters water resistant and thus on a different strap, perfectly swimmable. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.